Welcome to the Football Breakdown. This is the Fantasy EFL preview show. It's game week 32. I'm Matthew South.
I'm Ian Cooper.
Yes, welcome. Final 10 or 9 game weeks now. So business end of the season. We're starting to get a really good picture of promotion and relegation in all 3 leagues. It's getting quite exciting, I would say. How are you doing, Ian?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Obviously, apologies that the pod didn't come out yesterday. I was travelling back from London and just didn't have time to make any of the picks, so we've had to delay it till today. Only missed 1 game, really, so it's fairly normal week.
Yeah. Bromley Walsall till last night. I don't think there's anyone we're eyeing up from those fixtures. So I think Cheek didn't score and the Bromley didn't keep a clean sheet. So that kind of rules out anyone we suggested in the last few weeks of pods. And Walsall, well, I don't think many people are high on Walsall at the moment. So I feel like that's a fixture that probably would have been avoided. But by all means was a very good game. If we go to before then and into the previous game week, Ian, how did you get on in game week 31?
Yeah, so the first half of the game week, I was really happy. I was actually leading our league with, I believe, just over 60 points. Everyone put a shift in, apart from James, who didn't score or get an assist, or actually contribute anything for that first week. However, the second round of games is where it let me down. So I finished on 104 points. Sadly, Trafford only got a clean sheet in the first game, so did Egan Riley, and then he got red carded in the second game, which really hurt me because I had him as captain. James Wilson got a clean sheet in the first game, but then conceded twice in the second, despite going on to win, so only got 10 points there for 2 points in the second game. Albie Morgan was fairly consistent, got 2 assists in the first game, still got 5 points in the second for interception, a couple of shots on target, so pretty happy with that one. Ed Francis did really well for me, managed to get 14 points from him, so really happy with that sub 0.1 pick. And then Danny Rose scored on the first game, but then they lost 2-0 in the second, so I only got 11 points for him. But bearing in mind, I normally average about 4 points for my forwards. I'm pretty happy with 11 points there. As for my teams, obviously Leeds lost that first game to Portsmouth. Really good game, but just not ideal for what I was going for, and then did the business in the second game, so got 9 points, bit of a consolation there. And then Burnley did the job with 9 points for the first game, 2 goals, and a clean sheet, but sadly drew 1-1 against West Brom. So, 104 points should have been much better.
I picked you by 2 points this week. I made the late decision to pull out Egan Riley, and what a decision it was with the red card. Had Trafford in goal still, and then Swinkles, Gardner Hickman, and Connor Hall. But Gardner Hickman did not play, was not in the squad in the second game. Apparently had a slight injury issue, so limited his points there, which was a bit disappointing. Albie Morgan, another good week. Finn Azaz, solid week after a bit of a quiet game 1. And McAtee did score in the second game, so he hit double figures. But Bolton lost their second game, so only gave me 11 points on the week. Sheffield United had a bit of a disappointing late draw against Bristol City in the week as well, so it was just the 10 for them. But 106 in total. So it seemed like a pretty average week. No one was too high this week, no one was too low. We were probably average, upper average in the league looking at it. But I feel like everyone kind of hit the same issues. Big players not pulling points back. Like I avoided Leeds and kind of got away with it. Which is one of my concerns going into the week, was that I hadn't covered them. I just covered Sheffield United and Burnley, but it didn't cost me really anything. The Riley red cost a lot of people as well, and you just had not many teams kind of won both games, which I think was a bit of an issue for some people. So interesting week anyway. But this week it's pretty much just a single game week, and it's the first one we've had in a while. There's only one double fixture, and Rotherham Wickham on Tuesday night. So they're the only 2 teams that play twice. So everyone else is in a single game week, apart from, including Walsall and Bromley, who played last night, who aren't going to be featured on the pod unless we decide to try and take credit for something there, which I definitely haven't, but So yeah, should we just get straight into this week then? And Ian, do you want to take us away with the Championship goalkeeper?
Yeah, sure. And we've entered a really strange period for predictions, haven't we? The pressure's really ramping up. So the patterns that we saw earlier in the season are much less reliable. So picking clean sheets is fairly tough this week, especially when you've only got the one game. You don't have an insurance of the second game coming up. So I'm going to try and pick. I'm going to pick a goalkeeper from the Sheffield Wednesday Sheffield United game being played on Sunday, and of course it's Michael Cooper, who hasn't really been on the front of people's minds lately, and I can understand why. Sheffield United only have 2 clean sheets in the last 5, but Cooper has 18 clean sheets across 35 appearances. You may look at the Derby game as being random, so therefore unreliable, but only 1 goal has been scored across all 4 of their last meetings, with Sheffield United goalkeeper keeping a clean sheet in all 4 of them. A fairly nervy affair with both teams having something to gain and lose should mean more priority being defensively solid, so a repeat from the last game would be ideal for this pick.
Yep, solid. I am very shocked that Sheffield Wednesday are currently favourites for this game in the betting. So I definitely am leaning towards Sheffield United here, but I agree. I feel like it's going to be a really tight game, and that's kind of why I'm a bit surprised that the bookies are favouring Wednesday at the moment over United, given I feel like United are the expert at winning tight games right now.
Yeah.
But I'm going to move into defence as well. And I was having a think of Championship defenders of ways to score points, and League Two especially, you kind of eye up the clearances. And the Championship, you can do that, but it just doesn't seem to wield the points in the same way. We've tried it with Katic recently and players like that. And whilst they're a good bonus point, it's definitely more in the Championship. It feels like if you can get an attacking defender or just a guaranteed clean sheet, it's a much better way to go around doing it. And the clean sheet is exactly what I'm aiming for here. I'm going to take a defender from tonight's game between Bristol City and Norwich City, and I'm going to favour Rob Dickie from the home side. Now, Rob Dickie himself averages 6 clearances per 90, so there are bonus points up for grabs here, but it's really the goals I'm kind of looking for here, or the lack of, that I think are going to come from the away team. So in the last 8 home games, Bristol City have only conceded 4. That is the joint second best in the league in that time. They also have the joint second best points return in those 8, in everyone's last 8 home games of 19. And Norwich, meanwhile, have scored just 5 goals in their last 8 away games. It's just 3 goals in 4. They don't really look to be firing like they were earlier in the season. They're certainly not as good away as they are at home, and even their home form is starting to peter out. Their fans are getting frustrated. They feel like their season's just kind of, it's just petering out. It's just kind of not happening for them, even with their firepower coming back. So really, I think Bristol City, with their playoff aspirations and the fact they are right now at home a better side than Norwich City are on the road, I think they're going to win this game, and I think they're going to win this game to 0. And that is why I think Rob Dickie is a good shout here for the clean sheet, the potential clearance bonuses, and the Bristol City win.
Okay, yeah, coming in with a big call. I don't like to go against Norwich City. Like you said, they have been slow. Their goals have started slowing up, but they still rarely don't score in a game. However, I can see why you're leaning towards how strong Bristol City are at home, and that should over facts.
Well, three of their last eight away games, they have failed to score, which I think is actually one of the highest in the league. Like I said, I think for Championship defenders, it's hard to, unless we go and pick someone from a terrible team where we lose the clean sheet points.
Oh, absolutely.
It's hard to fit someone in, and there are a few tough games this week. I just think that, it's one of these teams has more to play for than the other, and they're certainly better at the back than they are going forward. Bristol City, it feels like. So yeah, and hey, Rob Dickie could pop up with a goal or two. Doubtful, but you never know.
Exactly. We've seen it before. So moving us on to the midfield pick, and I'm going to apologise for this pick and say, if you want to comment with a suggestion that you feel is a bit more inspiring, then please do get in touch. Because every player I've been looking at for this week, I've compared him to Josh Brownhill, and I just couldn't bring myself to put anyone else forward. He averages a goal contribution of just better than 1 every other game. He's top goal scorer in the midfielder in the Championship and has 3 goals in his last 4 games. Brown was a really big game player where the pressure's on at this stage of the season. That really suits him. And as for bonus points, Brownhill also averages just under an interception per 90 and just over 1 key pass per 90 as well. They're playing Swansea away from home, which is frustrating because Swansea are quite resilient at home lately. But Brownhill's just sort of made for these games where if they do snatch it 1-0, he's the one that I believe will score in this game. So that's kind of where I'm leaning towards.
Yeah, Brownhill, reliably solid pick, I feel. You can't go too wrong with him, I'd say. My forward pick as well is, I'd say similar to you, I kind of struggled in a way to find just standout strikers, and Championship strikers have kind of been an issue, especially with players' goals drying up. So I'm taking a bit of a risk with this selection here. I'm going to take Josh Coburn for Millwall. Now, he's had a bit of an injury hit season, but he does have 4 goals in 14 appearances. And when you go per 90, it's actually 0.68 goals per 90, which is better than the majority of the league. 2.73 shots per 90. They play a Stoke side who have conceded 10 goals in their last 4 away games. Robins doesn't play defensive football. They're going to come out, try and take the game to, well, they're going to attack Millwall. Millwall are going to attack them back. It's Alex Neil against his former club. I think this could be quite an end-to-end game. And Coburn, I do think, might get the nod up front. He has 2 goals in his last 4 games, and that does include, and he also has a penalty miss as well. So listen, he might still be on pens, whether they trust him with it or not. But I just think that he's the one really scoring the goals for Millwall right now, and they're not scoring many. But I don't see why they wouldn't trust him to lead the line again on Saturday, especially with the chances that Stoke are going to give up. He will have opportunities here to find the back of the net.
It's interesting. It's a bit like the comparison to the Wickham forward line of Udo and Kone. It's one or the other, and right now it seems like they're switching between Ivanovic and each game. But I can see why you're going against Stoke. They're just so poor away from home. They leak so many goals. You do think this Millwall side can really hit them.
Yeah.
I do like the pick there.
Yeah, it's one of those where I'm like Stoke could win this game, but I don't see them winning it to 0, which is why I feel like it's worth trying to get against them with an attacker. So yeah, that rounds up our Championship picks anyway. So I'm going to dive straight into my League One pick, where, speaking of goals or lack of, I'm going to take Will Mannion in goal for Charlton. Now, I just think we just got to take the safe option here for a clean sheet. Charlton have 3 clean sheets in 4, I think 6 clean sheets in 8 at home. Wigan have only scored once in their last 4 away games. Mannion's picking up a really, really good amount of points. His average points are pretty high now on the season. Hasn't played the whole season, but he's their number 1 keeper right now. And interestingly for Wigan, Ryan Lowe is not in charge this weekend. He will take charge, I think, after I don't know if they're playing him in the international break or not, but it'll be next weekend when his first fixture is, if not the weekend after. So it's not like Wigan are going to come out and play any different to how they have been playing. And seeing as they can't seem to find the back of the net away from home, and they're playing a side that don't give them any chances to do that anyway, I think Mannion's a safe bet this week.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to go for Mannion. So for my defender pick, I looked elsewhere, and I'm going to recommend an Exeter player. Interestingly, this is the second time in a row that I'm recommending an Exeter player. And the problem is with their defenders, not one of them stands head and shoulders above the other. Turns has played only 3 games and hasn't conceded a goal yet. Angus MacDonald plays in the middle of the 3, but his clearance numbers aren't fantastic. But he has 1 goal and 1 assist for Exeter coming in their most recent game against Mansfield. And then there's Hartridge, who has played the most games for Exeter this season, being 7, and has 2 assists for them so far this season. All 3 of them are 0% picked. So it's a tidy way to get an alternative player involved in this game. Matt, do you see any way to separate any of these?
I'm going to go for no. I would say I would not be picking an Exeter player this week, but I will let you tell me what your separator is.
Well, I'm just going for Angus MacDonald. I just need the set piece threat. I believe he's just more than capable of scoring a goal, as well as they do look a lot bit better defensively. I know they have Rotherham away, and it's quite a dangerous fixture, but I'm actually going a little bit against Rotherham this week, so I quite like the thought of having Angus MacDonald in for me.
Fair enough. My midfield pick comes from Rotherham. So
Ooh.
I'm taking Joe Powell in midfield. I think over we mentioned at the top Rotherham are one of the two teams with a double game week, and I think Joe Powell, who averages 5.5 points, is the safest way to hit that double, this week. Hit double your average potential, or double your potential returns on the game week with someone with a high average. He's a bit of an all-round player, so listen, he doesn't even have to score to really do anything here. He's 1.12 interceptions per 90, but he does have 1.36 shots per 90, 2.42 chances created, 2.81 crosses. He'll be on set pieces, 7 assists. He does have a goal. I think that, you know, if you do want to go Exeter and Rotherham for some reason, you can still take Powell for the interceptions and then hope that he does the business in midweek against a Wickham side. Listen, Rotherham, yeah, like Rotherham aren't too inspiring at times, but their last home game, Powell had 4 key passes against a team, a Leyton Orient side who have been good, just about off the boil. They won that 1-0. Really should have had an assist or two in that one. They went and scored 3 goals away at Bristol Rovers. Powell had 10 points there. Away at Reading, Powell had another 10 points. They lost that game. He can pick up points without the winning here, so it's not pigeonholed into goals and assists. This can come from all-round play. So listen, I think Powell's a good bet regardless. Just purely with the double fixture.
No, this is good. I like when we have two players that are directly playing against each other, especially when my players only got this one game, so I needed to do the business for this game. And I'm going to go to the forward pick, and we spoke about his strike partner recently, but for this game week, I'm going to put forward Ashley Fletcher of Blackpool. Fletcher may well be in the running for the Player of the Month for this March, with 3 goals and 1 assist already this month. Fletcher's total for this season is respectable 9 goals as well, and is Stu Bruce's trusted forwards, who puts out a consistent lineup pretty much every week. Blackpool host Leyton Orient this week, who are on poor form now, losing their last 5 games. With seen, it just looks like their playoff hopes are just sliding away, and I think it's an unrealistic game, but this is almost a must-win for both of these teams if they can keep that dream alive of sneaking into the playoffs. And I just feel if Blackpool are to win this game, which I feel like they should, it'll be Ashley Fletcher who makes a difference here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a wild punt here and say this pick has some viewing bias based on the fact that we watched Leyton Orient last week and they were terrible in defence and were really torn apart by a Northampton side who have been struggling all season and just turned up first half, ripped Leyton Orient apart and then just held their own. Yeah, not surprised you're going against them this week. I'd probably be favouring that as well. So yeah, I'm happy to get. I think Ashley Fletcher is a good pick. It's one of those again where you could pick uh there are good point scorers in that Blackpool side. We've mentioned Albie Morgan a lot recently. He was definitely in consideration for my midfield pick, but I decided we couldn't keep picking him as a suggestion, but he could well be in the team for people this week too.
Oh yeah, and just one more player on the midfield pick is Sonny Carey as well. He's really exciting. He does drift in and out of games where you've got the Morgans, who's more consistent, but he's another player to really keep an eye on this week as well. And now going to go into League 2 for the goalkeeper pick. I feel like it might be a league where people aren't trying to pick a keeper. There's really, really tricky fixtures to go for this game week, but I'm going to have a shot at it. And I'm going to pick out James Belshaw for Harrogate. This pick is based on their recent approach in order to not be dragged into any kind of relegation thought. Simon Weaver's set up his side to be more stubborn to play against, and it's starting to reflect in performances with 3 clean sheets in their last 5 games. Their 0-0 away to Port Vale certainly wasn't to be sniffed at, and will give them confidence facing Newport County away, especially with Newport suffering a 5-0 loss and not being able to strum up a single shot on target.
Yeah, that's solid. I think, yeah, like you say, Harrogate's approach probably weighs up well here for that game. In defence, I'm going to take Jack Shepherd for Bradford. The defensive darlings of the league right now. They've only conceded once or twice in the last 8 home games. Shepherd actually He's averaged 5.3 points on the season, which isn't the highest Bradford City defender. But I think a big part of that is the fact that he had a red card a few weeks ago, so got -1 point, then missed a game, and then was straight back into the lineup. So I have no concerns about him not playing here. His last actual point returns at home are 12, 9, 12, 8, 11. He's been a key part of their run, which has been very much built from the back going forward. Him, Baldwin, like their keeper and goal, they've all been good. We've suggested Sam Walker on the pod a few times for clean sheets. So yeah, I think Shepherd's clean sheet potential, his clearance numbers are decent. I think if you're looking for a League Two defender, I think the fact that Bradford are at home to a Tranmere side who are just terrible in front of goal, this is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, like the red card's obviously not an ideal thing, but it's always a strong factor when you see that he comes straight in and doesn't miss a single minute since coming back into the side. So he's clearly seen as an important figure in that really, really strong defence. And we're going to go to the midfield pick now. So I really fancy an Acton player for this game. And there's one really fun thing that I found with their two starting strikers at the minute are actually listed both as midfielders. Those players are Tyler Walton and Joe O'Brien Whitmarsh. Whitmarsh has 3 goals in 6 games. And Walton has 6 goals in 33 games. I'm going to go put forward Whitmarsh, though. Despite Walton claiming 3 assists and 1 goal in the last game, Whitmarsh has scored in every home game. He's only played 2, but that's where all of his goals have come from. I just think it's a fun quirk that basically for the narrative, I just want to see continuing. And you also get interception points here, with Whitmarsh managed 2 in his last game. Their opponents are Gillingham, who are a strong side, but really struggle away from home, losing 3-1 to a poor Newport side, and then drawing to Carlisle.
Yeah, I think there's a chance of Accrington getting a good win here and just cementing their place in the league for next season. Yeah, I think that striker quirk has been around for a while. This season it's been very interesting. I managed to get Wally up front a few times as a midfield pick, which is always good fun. And I know Costello used to be very similar when he was on loan there too, so I definitely like that. And then to round off our league picks, I have the League Two striker, and I'm taking Rob Street. 7 goals in 12 games. It's actually 0.93 goals per 90, 3.58 shots per 90. Listen, he's the most informed striker in the league. He's the best striker in the league right now. Yeah, he's finally hit that form that he's kind of hinted at showing in the league above, but hasn't been quite able to do it. They travel to a Crewe side who have conceded 4 goals, who conceded 4 goals in their last home game in a 4-1 loss to Fleetwood. They conceded 8 in the last 4 home games in total. They are missing Demetrio at the back. I think Doncaster, despite their mix in form, they will create chances because that's the type of side they are. Street is going to get opportunities to score, and he more often than not takes those opportunities. So yeah, Rob Street up front for me to finish the league picks.
Yeah, I like it.
So moving into our sub 0.1 picks, as always, myself and Ian will select a player who's been selected by 0.1% of people or less at the time of recording, and he will be in our teams for the week. I'll start us off this week. I am taking Ferran Rawson from Accrington Stanley. So I'm also on this Accrington backing as well as your midfield pick. Listen, there's the thing that really stands out for me is his point returns at home. So they're at home to a Gillingham side who just aren't very good. Away from home, they've only scored 4 goals in their last 8 away games. So there's a clean sheet chance here. Rawson, his last home game, 7 points, 10, 11, 13, 6, 9, 7. It's a 7.5 average, which is 2 above his actual average of 5.5. And I went even further back and did it across the whole season. And it's a pretty solid, solid return. But if you exclude the first 4 games where Accrington weren't that good, and then we're cherry picking a bit here, but it still gives us 11 home games in a row, his average is 9.1, which is just exceedingly high for a defender. So I just think that a defender who He's picked up 9 clean sheets in total, more of them coming at home than away, averages 9 clearances per 90, and just picks up points at home for a side who are just better at home than they are away, against the side who are worse away than they are at home. It just feels like it all just fits together this week for Ferran Rawson to be my sub-0.1 pick.
Yeah, like it. For my pick, I am going for Hamza Chowdhury of Sheffield
Nice.
United. It's nothing to do with the fixture or what I think the result of the fixture is going to be, but I'm basing this pick solely on I'm just hoping he plays midfield. If he plays right back, then you might see on our social medias that I'm going somewhere else. But in his last 2 games in midfield, he's picked up 18 points and then 10 points, and that's all from interceptions. So he got 8 interceptions in his second to last game. It's really fun to find a starting player for one of the top sides in EFL in the sub-0.1 section. It's just quite rare to actually see them have some sort of value that haven't been picked up yet. And if it is a cagey game on Sunday, Chowdhury could really have a strong influence and reflect strong showing of points from his interceptions there. So yeah, I've got Hamza Chowdhury.
Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah, like you say, rare to see a player from such a big club in this section, but no, definitely like that. That's where you can find some value this week on terms of the differentials. So, Ian, do you want to run me through what your team looks like as a whole?
Yeah, sure. So I've got Michael Cooper in goal, and then Angus MacDonald and Macaulay Gillespie as my 2 defenders, Josh Brownhill, Joe O'Brien Whitmarsh, and Hamza Chowdhury as my 7.1 pick in the 3 midfield spots. And then I've got Ashley Fletcher up front.
Very nice, very nice. And at the moment, I have Mannion in goal. I've got Rawson in my back 3 along with Shepherd, and at the moment Gillespie. I'm still tempted by Dickey though, as I mentioned at the top. My midfield, Joe Powell, and then the midfielder I've chosen to partner him at the moment is Shay Charles. But for similar reasons of your Chowdhury pick, it's just for the fact that this game I feel is going to be gritty, is going to have interceptions in it. So I want to get on one of the midfielders. So.
Yeah, it could genuinely be a thing where you could perfectly pair them both and they could have the identical games. You really
exactly.
Feel this one.
Exactly, yeah. It's going to be a coin toss here. It's one of the positions I might change before kickoff, but yeah, at the moment it's Charles. And then up front, Rob Street. Yeah, as I spoke about, I think he's got a big chance of scoring this week again. So I'm gonna stick with him. So now we'll get into our final part of the show, which is our 2 teams to win. And then, as always, myself and Ian have a £5 bet on our 2 teams to win their first game of the game week. And we have a head-to-head going on. Ian is winning that head-to-head. But last week I did pick up a win for the first time in a while. So, yeah, not too shabby there. Ian, who are your 2 teams for this week?
So it's a bit like the thoughts I had last week. So the first pick, I've got Burnley, who are playing Swansea away from home. I just think it's a really important game for Burnley. They need to get on the front foot and make sure they get these 3 points. So I'm expecting a better attacking display for them, as they have shown recently, but hopefully they do that away from home, especially with Sheffield United playing the day after. Just really puts the pressure on an already high-pressured game. And I say sadly, the second pick is Wycombe Wanderers. I don't have a single player that's got a double game week, so I felt like I just needed to get the team there, and I don't know. I'm really torn between it, but with myself siding for Exeter for the first game, that's kind of what's led me on for Wycombe to play against Wrexham. It must be a tough game, but it is, at least they have them at home, and then they can go to a Rotherham side where they should be the better team there. So my £5 bet there returns me £20.86.
Very good, very good. And I have gone for Rotherham as my first pick. I just think the double game week is yeah, you kind of had to pick one of the teams on the double game week. I'm favouring Rotherham the 2 home games. I think Exeter are going to struggle on the road is also one of my thoughts behind it. But you know, also yeah, that Wycombe playing Wrexham game is a huge game, and it's not one that I would necessarily want to be calling. So yeah, but I think it's going to be a really, really fun watch. My second team to win is Doncaster. I guess similar to your Burnley team, I'm going for a team to win away from home, and I just think this is a good matchup for Doncaster. They won here in the playoff semis last year, and they lost the home leg and then lost on penalties, but Crew are missing Dimitri, most probably. They are leaking goals. Doncaster create chances for fun. The 2 points for the away win is too much to turn up here. I don't. It's one of those where Doncaster are favourites of the game. I still think there's a. I don't think they're the perfect team, but it's that business end of the season where they need to go to Crew and win, and I think they will with the likes of Street and Molyneux and Gibson playing well. So my £5 there returns £19.47.
Okay, so fairly similar, yeah.
So that brings us to the end of this week's show. As always, please do follow us on our socials. We're on Bluesky at FB Football Breakdown. We're on X at FBBD Pod. Make sure I get those the right way round. Let us know any selections you guys have this week. Any players you think we've suggested who are terrible shouts. Feel free to give us any feedback on the pod as well. And let's all hope for a good game week all round. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Matthew.
And take it easy.